The book of 1 Samuel can be divided into three main sections: the story of Samuel and Saul, and the story of Saul and David. It's a continuation of the book of Judges. Judges is the second book of the Deuteronomistic history, and 1 Samuel is the third book of the Deuteronomistic history. It begins with the line, "There was a certain man," which is similar to the introduction to Manoah and Micah in Judges. The book of Judges ends in Shiloh, and 1 Samuel begins in Shiloh. The book opens with the birth narrative of Samuel. It starts with Elkanah's lineage. We don't know anything about the people in his lineage. However, great prophets are usually introduced by their lineage in the Old Testament. We are then introduced to Elkanah's family. He has two wives, Peninnah and Hannah. Peninnah bears children, and her name means prolific. Hannah is the favorite wife, but she is barren. Hannah means favor. This is similar to previous stories in the Old Testament, e.g. Jacob's wives, Leah and Rachel. If a woman is barren and gives birth, something important will happen with that child. Peninnah is cruel to Hannah, but Elkanah is clueless, and the best he can do to comfort Hannah is to state that being married to him is a much greater blessing than ever having kids. The next part of the story is about Hannah's vow at the Shiloh shrine. The Septuagint translation of the Old Testament says that Hannah vows to give her son to God as a Nazirite if he would give her a son. Eli the priest hears Hannah praying and thinks she's drunk, which is ironic since Nazirites don't drink. Hannah then offers her response, saying that she is not drinking but pouring out her soul. This language sounds like pouring a blood sacrifice. Eli then offers his blessing, which contains a note of promise that God has heard Hannah's plea. After this, the family returns home, and the text says that Elkanah knows her and also that the Lord remembers her. She has a son and names him Samuel. Samuel means God heard. We then read about Hannah's offering, and we see that Samuel is her offering, which is not a traditional sacrifice, but a living sacrifice. Chapter 2 contains Hannah's Psalm. It's a very old section of the Old Testament, one of the oldest. The Psalm praises God, and it makes a reference to a barren woman having 7 kids. It also contains a reference to a king, which points to the beginnings of monarchy in Israel. The New Testament figure of Mary, the mother of Jesus, has very much in common with Hannah. Both mothers give birth by divine means, both sing a song of praise, both describe themselves as lowly maidservants, they both stay at an inn, and they both make a yearly trip to a sacred site. Shiloh for Hannah and Jerusalem for Mary. They then both name their child and receive a blessing, Hannah by Eli and Mary by Simeon, as well as the prophetess Anna. Both of them then return to their homes, and a description of the child is given. Of Samuel, and the boy Samuel continued to grow in stature and in favor with the Lord and with people. And of Jesus, and Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man. The narrative then focuses on Eli's sons, Hophni and Phinehas. We learn that they are no good scoundrels, and the text lays out 3 indictments against them: inappropriate sacrifice, or robbing God, sex at the sanctuary, and becoming fat off the offerings. A man of God condemns Eli's family, and he chastises Eli for doing nothing about his sons. He also predicts that Eli's house will be cut off, and he predicts a faithful priest will be brought up. Chapter 3 opens with Samuel's dream theophany. We first get to hear about the condition of Shiloh, that the word of the Lord was rare and that there were not many visions. We also learn that Eli is going blind. The text then focuses on Samuel's dream. We learn that Samuel sleeps near the ark at night, but God calls to Samuel, not Eli. Samuel goes to Eli thinking that Eli is calling him, and it takes Eli 3 times before he realizes what's going on. It is here when Samuel becomes a prophet. Eli demands to know what the Lord said, and Samuel is honest and faithful to God's word. God's message is, "I will destroy Eli's family." And the word of the Lord keeps on appearing to Samuel at Shiloh. The next section of narratives focus on the ark. The Philistines go to war with Israel. Israel is camped at Ebenezer, which means stone of help, but they receive no help and are defeated by the Philistines. And they ask, why? The conclusion? We didn't bring the ark with us, so we lost. We then see Israel attempting to battle the Philistines with the ark. The ark has become an idol, and the ark ends up being captured by the Philistines. Eli's sons are killed in battle, and Eli faints and breaks his neck because he's so fat. Also, Eli's daughter-in-law gives birth and dies, and in the process names her son Ichabod, meaning the glory has departed. We then get to hear about the ark among the Philistines. The ark arrives at Ashdod, and the Philistines take the ark to the temple of their god Dagon. But Dagon lays prostrate in front of Yahweh, and Yahweh humiliates Dagon and eventually decapitates him, which is the opposite of Samson's story. We then read about the complete humiliation of the Philistines. There is a rat infestation at Ashdod because of the presence of the ark of God. Also, the people begin to develop some sort of tumors or hemorrhoids. We're not exactly sure, but either way, it was a pain in the butt. And the Philistines begin to play hot potato with the ark. Ashdod sends the ark to Gath, and plagues break out at Gath. Gath sends the ark to Ekron, and plagues break out at Ekron. And the people cry out because the hand of God was heavy upon them. We then read about the return of the ark to Israel. The Philistines present a guilt offering, admitting they were wrong. And they also make 5 golden replicas of the tumors and 5 golden replicas of the rats. And they put the ark on a cart pulled by 2 milk cows. And the milk cows apparently head straight back to Israel. The ark arrives in Israel, specifically to the field of Joshua, and some Israelites peek inside the ark and drop dead. All of the people gathered at Mizpah, and Samuel told them to get rid of all their idols, so they did. Later, the Philistines tried to attack Israel again, and the text says that God thundered among the Philistines so that they were too frightened to do anything. The men of Israel chased the Philistines away and defeated them in battle, and Samuel set up the Ebenezer stone, or stone of help, saying, "Thus far has the Lord helped us."